This story comes to us from NBCLosAngeles.com. Well, the LAPD are suing because they got doxed. Well, at least the officers are suing. Private attorneys representing 321 unnamed LAPD officers have filed an initial legal action against the city of Los Angeles, claiming that a recent production of public record data on LAPD employees included the profiles of some officers working in undercover assignments, whose information is typically withheld from such disclosures. Boo-hoo. I love when you get a cop that usually works undercover and you're recording the police, and he usually goes, "Hey, don't put me on camera. Don't record me." Well, then cover your face or get your ass inside the building. But I digress. Attorney Matthew McNicholas, whose West LA law firm represents dozens of other officers in unrelated lawsuits against the city, said this presents a significant threat to the citizens of Los Angeles. Why is it a threat to the citizens of Los Angeles? It's a threat to the cops, not to the citizens, those cops. He said, adding that the officers had been identified and verbally threatened on the street. Several undercover operations have had to stop, and several undercover officers have been threatened with direct threats requiring their families to move. The life of an undercover cop, you know. According to the claim, which is an initial step required before a lawsuit can be filed, the city produced a volume of information about LAPD officers in response to 2 public records requests, and in both cases, the claim alleges the city failed to fully remove the names, photos, and identifying information of some of the undercover officers. Now, the LAPD routinely produces so-called roster data in response to records requests about its employees, including names, ranks, assignments, salaries, and employee identification or serial numbers. Typically, however, the department removes information about officers who work in specific undercover assignments, like narcotics, even if the same officer's names and information had previously been produced in records disclosures. So basically they're saying, let's say Officer McCannon, I made up a name. His name was released when he was a patrol officer. Now he's undercover. They're not going to release it. They're going to redact it now because he's undercover. I guess that makes sense. And don't get me wrong. I get what they're saying. You're working in an undercover capacity. It's like the CIA, you know, these movies like Mission Impossible where they want to get the knock list so they know who's undercover. You know, all these agents' names are released. Now they got to pull them because they're going to get killed. I kind of get what they're saying here. I understand what they're saying. I just don't have any sympathy for law enforcement. McNicholas said in the 2 records disclosures in question, the city removed only the profile information of undercover officers who work in internal affairs, who investigate and surveil other officers suspected of wrongdoing. Whoa, there you go. So internal affairs has these undercover cops watching cops. We definitely want to know who they are. The union that represents most LAPD officers, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, filed a complaint on March 20 this year about what it described as negligent and reckless release of information. Now, the first records request was filed by a person named Ben Camacho in 2021. The second was filed in December 2022 by the group Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. The information disclosed by the city was later published on a website called Watch the Watchers. Love it. The Watchers, we used to have those in Ukaipa. The Watchers site requires users to supply an officer's name or serial number in order to see their photograph. Now, McNicholas said he was worried the underlying data was being downloaded and viewed in other ways that would make it more likely a person spotted on the street could be identified as an undercover officer. He said you have to assume the information is being pulled off. Pulled off what? He said the total number of officers serving in undercover assignments was unknown. but estimated another 100 or so could join the legal case. You could be up to just under 500 lawsuits over this. The city of Los Angeles, do you think they commented? No, they generally don't comment on pending lawsuits. Of course they don't. They never, every story I think I've done this week is they did not respond for comment. But, here it is. I mean, these cops are pissed about being doxxed. And I kind of get it because their families are suffering and their families didn't do nothing wrong. It's the cops that are, the family shouldn't suffer, but they're getting these death threats. Maybe the families are getting death threats. If they have teenage kids, maybe the teenage kid gets beat up at school. Oh, your dad is so-and-so cop, huh? We're going to beat your ass. So I kind of get it. I just don't have any sympathy for them. They dox us all the time. When we're out there recording the police, they dox us. They say our names out loud. They dox us. Now we're doxing them.